Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to Scorpio season. I'm Lauren Hubele, and I'm joined by these three wonderful women, Lois, Christine, and Anastasiia, and we're going to guide you through this season, listening in very closely to what Anastasiia has to share from the astrological perspective and what Christine brings in as far as the human design perspective. So, Anastasiia, why don't you get us started off?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the season of Scorpio. Scorpio is believed to be a transformational season and transformational sign, and it's not for without a reason. Scorpio is a water sign ruled by Mars, and Mars is a hot planet, while water is so calm and a little bit cold. So what happens? Mars boils this water. And that is how the transformation goes, because heating really transforms the water. And this Scorpio season moves exactly like water through transformation. At first, we will have this heating phase or stage. It's quite intense and focused, and their action meets pressure. The second part turns into steam or fog. It's slower, it's hazier. Plants may lose shape, direction softens, and the final part brings crystallization, the moment of clarity, when the fog settles and decisions take form again. So we have a long process ahead of us, kind of distilling the essence. Hopefully, we will be able to do it by the end of the season. And for a lot of us, I believe it will be an eye-opening month. When, if we have enough luck, or rather life experience, by the end of the season, we will see something very special. Each of us will see something very special for themselves. And remember that our last season, it ended with a new moon, which was harmonious. It was a wise new moon. So we could make intentions, affirmations, and set the desired direction. And now, as the sun enters Scorpio, we have this opportunity to actually act upon our intentions. So I see it's a beautiful start. At the same time, it's the power phase, as I call it, the first phase. It will last from October 23rd till November 4th. And this phase brings pure intensity. During these 11 days, Mars, the ruler of the season, stays in Scorpio. So the Sun and Scorpio are and the Mars in Scorpio are together, and Mars functions to its best from October 23rd till October 28th. So at the very beginning, that's the time when it is also accompanied by Mercury in Scorpio. So Mercury is our thought, Mars is our action. So action and thought work together, and we can see the goals thanks to the Sun. We can calculate the path thanks to Mercury, and actually act precisely thanks Mars. During these days, both Mars and Mercury, because they are together, they form a nice trine to both Jupiter and Saturn. And that could be a gift, because Mars with Jupiter is the energy of the fighter and the winner. It's such, I see it often in the horoscopes of athletes. It brings luck. Mars with Saturn is the worker, the builder, the hard worker, the one who doesn't give up. So together they create this balance between passion, luck, and discipline. So if you have something to achieve, especially if it requires endurance or courage, these are the right days. And I mean 23rd till 28th. Collectively, the systems of power are also cooperating. They act with a legal or moral justification. It's like power is being organized at the moment, and hopefully in the right manner. We may see during these days some military coordination, political consolidation, or new security alliances emerging. And such consolidation may have a long lasting effect. Perhaps not immediate, but we will see its development throughout 2026 and 27. So it's minimum for 2 years ahead. So I believe something really big is forming now. That's why I hope for the better, for the right direction. And this is true on the collective level, but it is also true on personal, because strategic thinking, investing in long-term projects, expecting returns within the next 2 years minimum is what we should be doing during these couple of weeks. Of course, it's not just throwing a seed to the ground and then sitting and waiting for the fruit. All we do now requires hard work. Hard work not only now, but also for much longer. But I just want to emphasize the importance of these days. Don't sit still. Don't rush into doing as much as possible. It's best to choose the highest and the most long-term priority and work on it. It will require more input later, but it will pay off. Yeah, again, I strive to believe in the good of humanity, so I truly hope some very constructive decisions can be brought to life during this time period. There is nevertheless one however that I'd like to mention, because at this very same time, the Sun squares Pluto. And Pluto square is a tense aspect, and Pluto brings not only heat, but also the power to act, and it adds control. And we may feel the need to assert control, to prove something, to take back what was ours. We can easily push too hard or become overconfident. So it's the aspect of pushing, controlling, dominating, especially if we deal with the people who have less power than we do. For instance, it may show as a pressure on children, on colleagues, or those who depend on us, subordinates, or, for example, governments or institutions may assert their authority. And mostly during such time periods, people tend to tighten the grip in the name of stability or security. So they speak good words, but then they offer only pressure. So it's a classical aspect of dominating manipulators. So let's just watch out and keep that in mind. It's definitely not the time to look for help from the bossy figures, unless you are ready to be indebted to them afterwards. So that's, in a way, is a very fruitful week from 23rd to 28th, but it has also some risks in it, at least as from astrological perspective. And what can you say, Christine?
Yeah, I love this because it all totally lines up. It's interesting. All of Scorpio season, from a human design perspective, has there is some channel that is defined for everybody on the planet almost every day of this season, which isn't super typical, right? And so at the beginning, this fiery section that you're talking about, the beginning channel that's lit up for the collective is this channel of mutation, right? And what happens is it's actually Pluto, which is in gate 60 from a human design perspective, lining up with the our Earth position, which is in gate 3, difficulty at the beginning. And so this channel of mutation is very much about change, like it can be impulsive, it can be unpredictable, but it's mutative. It really is trying to change something. It has this energy to want to change something. And like you said, it's not, don't look to the collective. This is an individual energy, right? It wants to change your own thing in order that the world around you will also change in response, essentially. So it's really interesting to hear you talk about the squaring of Pluto and the Sun because I definitely see it here in human design too. I will also say Pluto in gate 60 from a human design perspective, 60 is the channel of, I mean, the gate of acceptance and limitation is the name of it. And so there is this energy of like wanting different, wanting something different, but working within the limitations, right? And accepting what's possible and accepting what the next right step would be and could be, even though it may not be the ultimate, goal, right? So I think that it is this kind of nice energy to support what you're saying, right? Yeah, Pluto might be pushing, there might be fuel there, but there's also this underlying energy from a human design perspective of like, yeah, but let's work within our means, right? So thought that was really lovely. And also, we enter Scorpio season from a human design perspective in gate 50, which is the gate of values. And it is very much about this understanding, like what is of value, who who in the world is doing the things that we need to be paying attention to or not. Like, are we as individuals contributing to the continuation of healthy, happy society, right? And what's and just being, so I just bring that up saying because I think it kind of sets the tone for this season, which is like what's really of value, right? And how are we really doing in this, mortal plane? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. And the Pluto, it will stay for a long time in this gate, right? It's for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think it's back in 60, and yes, and I think that's true. That's where it's going to stay. I can't even remember. I'll find out. But yes, it's in there for a bit. So,
Hmm.
well, it's in here for a year, for a month, and then it goes back to gate 41, and then in gate 41 it stays forever. There. Yes. And that's a
Yeah.
beginning energy. That's a starting energy, right? So this is where that whole revolutionary energy comes from a human design perspective. Like new things are coming, people. Pluto's gonna make it so.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I also believe that this tone of acting stays with us for the whole month. It's just it will be slowing down later on. So the most fruitful days are the first 5 or 6 days. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I would just say again, like this Pluto thing, it's finishing up in gate 60, right? It won't be in gate 60 again in our lifetime, right? Just because of the nature of the Pluto cycle. So this, I think this is also kind of paying attention to what you like this values idea, like what is really worth keeping and holding on to and meaningful, right? Because this is this last time to really look at what it is that's working. And then the opportunity when Pluto moves to 41 is like, okay, good. We'll take the things that are important, but we're leaving the rest of it here and we're going to start the new thing when, in this next cycle. So it is kind of this reflecting, and I think it's also retrograde right now, right? Pluto?
Right, right, but
Yeah.
but that's why I think it will it may I just don't know the borders of the gates, so I'm not sure if it will return or not. But
Yeah, it's it's in gate 60 for another month from my perspective. So
at
through
least
this season. Yeah.
at least for this season, yeah.
Yeah. And then it stops. And then it goes into 41.
Yeah, yeah, and it may also, because it has this harsh aspect with the sun, it may also be that not everyone is ready for it, and not everyone is ready just to act and stay constructive. Some will be defending themselves, some will be reacting, not acting. So if we keep in mind this value notion, then perhaps it will help us act instead of reacting. Yeah. And then between October 29th and November 5th, the energy becomes somewhat unstable. There is a planetary combination. It's too complicated. I will not explain it, not to overwhelm everybody, but it can trigger sudden moves, emotional outbursts, or impulsive reactions. It's the moment when this boiling water starts to splash. So Mars hits it, and then we have a combination that the boiling water goes out of the pot. So we should be careful with quick decisions, with risky actions, and sharp words. These such fast and quick and not thought through decisions, they can easily lead to unintended consequences. And it's also just physically accidents, careless driving, technological disruptions, short circuits, such kind of things may be happening. Basically, everything that's associated with sparkles, including sparkles in relationships. So it's not a nice time to start a difficult conversation during this period. Also, not a nice time for financial investments and simply for big purchases. So this time period doesn't seem as fruitful as the previous one. It's not as easy. because we still have all the pressure, but then we have also this too much boiling around us. But what's useful is that during this time, we may better see which our desires are actually too big for us. What is getting out of this pot? It's that moment when the water overheats and when something we thought we could handle suddenly burns. You know, like you're trying to check how hot the water in the shower is. Is it good enough to go there? And then suddenly it's too hot and you cannot stand it. So and I believe these are kind of signals, these burns that we may get. If anything unexpected or unpleasant happens during these days, it's a sign that we are going too fast or too far, or that something needs to cool down before it can grow again, or we desire too much. Don't think that anything that happens is an obstacle that you must overrun, that you must go there anyway. Think about it as a sign, as like universe speaks to us. Is there anything similar in human design?
Oh my gosh, exactly on point. It's the exact same thing. So from October 26th to the 30th, the Brainwave channel will be on for the entire collective, which is the channel of gate 57, which is the most intuitive channel in the system. It's in our spleen and it connects to gate 20 in the throat. And so this is intuitive knowing in the moment. This very spontaneous fast acting in energy. And it is often correct. Like it is like something's going on in the environment. I need to do something about it. And sometimes it's just the feeling that you need to, move when actually it's just this energy underlying. So this fast acting thing that you were talking about, 100%. I think a lot of people are going to feel pushed or not even pushed, more, there's going to be more intuition, I think, coming in for people, right? They may actually be acting better, more in their own personal self-interest because this is a self-empowerment individual channel. Again, another individual energy, very much like what's going on throughout Scorpio season. So, and from an astrology perspective, gate 57 in the spleen is a Venus, it will be in Venus, and Uranus is in gate 20, right? So it's that energy, those two planets that will be together, bringing together this kind of impulsive, intuitive energy. So yes, very much I would say for people, be expecting to feel this kind of like, yeah, maybe it's just a tapping in. Maybe you're just actually getting more intuitive insights than you would normally, right? Because there's a lot of that. And also on the 29th, another channel comes online for everyone too, the power channel, which is the sacral energy to the spleen, which is probably the most it's just lots of intuitive knowing. That's what I would say. Be paying attention to your intuitive knowing because it's probably on point this particular
Mhm.
October 26th to the 30th.
Yeah, it's the only thing that we need to do it to understand if it's fear or intuitions that speaks to us.
100%. That's exactly right. Yes, you're right. It will be, that's the discerning piece that's going to be tricky.
Mhm, mhm. Lauren Lewis, how does it feel? The first phase.
It could be an exciting ride. Both of you have referenced values and priority, and this sense of needing to sort of know where your ground is in all of this. So is
Mhm,
when the exciting ideas or pushes for things to happen is to know where do you really stand, what really matters to you. So it feels like having a look at your values and like I'd have people prioritize their values so that when a decision comes up, is you look at those values and go, is this right for me? Right. So it's sort of having that sort of a quick little reference point for where am I in this and where do I really want to be? So just using our values in that way would be useful.
yeah. Beautiful.
Coming from the natural perspective in our world of nature that we all are a part of, I can't help but think this is the big last push. In most regions, there hasn't been a deep, hard, cold frost yet. There may have been light ones, but we don't have the ground certainly not frozen. So we're out there, we're in the fields, we're collecting what we can. So I'm thinking about this collecting, sorting. Does this stay or do I bring this in? Is this worth putting into cold storage? I'm thinking of myself when I get home. I'm going right out and getting all my winter squash out of the field, and hopefully it'll be ready to put in. So you're making these decisions. You're also seed collecting. This is the last chance to collect seeds and decide what's viable for the future, which makes me think about, as you talked about these long-term things, Anastasiia, that's what seeds are. And some are biennials and they might not even do anything for a while, but collecting them, gathering them, bringing them together. And then the other thing, Christine, when you brought up the intuition, we also are hitting November 1st in here in Samhain, and that thin veil of time. Isn't that interesting that that would also overlap with what's happening?
Yeah, yeah, it's very much about, yeah, with this seed not planting but planning, planning the
Exactly.
seed for the future. Yeah,
Right,
and
right. And sorting and labeling and getting them ready so
mhm,
that when it's time, they're right there for you.
mhm,
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because Samhain, from a human design perspective, is the shift from, the wheel is split into half yin and half yang energy, right? And Samhain is the time where we're shifting back into, we've been in yang energy and we're shifting back into yin energy. And so that too will happen right there on that November 1st date. And so lots of different energies are converging at that time and do every year, right? Like there are reasons that we have the, traditions that we have and the time, and because the nature does dictate a lot of these things. So I just think it's interesting to pay attention to those things too.
mhm. Yeah, so the first part of this season was a lot about priorities, about movement and focus and control, and on the very different levels, but still the accent was on movement and acting. And the next phase, it lasts from November 4th till November 15th, and it is noticeably slower. The heat is still there, but the vision blurs. This is the fog phase of the season, when systems, both personal and collective, begin to lose their clear shape. On November 4th, Mars steps into Sagittarius. So it leaves Scorpio and it leaves the Sun without its supervision. Sagittarius is a fiery sign, it's very active, and Mars is also fast. So we may still want movement and exploration and expansion, like Sagittarius likes it. Maybe even in a more adventurous manner, with certain excitement and ease. However, it is not made easy for Mars there. It has two companions now. Its ruler is Jupiter, and it joins again Mercury, which also moves to Sagittarius. But both Jupiter and Mercury at this time, they are getting ready for a retrograde movement. So Mercury turns retro on November 9th and Jupiter on November 11th. And they station or move extremely slow almost for the entire period till November 15th. Because planets do not just start going retro without slowing down. Just like we, before we turn around, we need to stop. And this is slowing all the processes down. That's when this fog comes. On the personal level, our thoughts loop, plans change, and we begin to review conversations, to review agreements or paperwork that seemed settled. Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius, the sign of law, ideology, and worldview. So it's not only about this paperwork and rescheduling meetings, it's about rethinking truth and ethics itself. So that's where we get this opportunity to think about our values, to slow down and stop on this point. And Jupiter itself, it may raise similar topics. So although it is not as significant for individuals as Mercury, Jupiter may also feel like a loss of momentum or confidence, because Jupiter is not only about laws and ethics, it's also about luck and feeling, yeah, I'm okay. I'm about optimism. So together, this combination of Mercury and Jupiter stationing, it may bring disillusionment with some ideas, with leadership, with grand narratives or traditions that have not been doubted for years. And promises made earlier this year may now seem exaggerated or unrealistic. And curiously enough, I thought about I looked at different signs of zodiacal signs and thought about who is affected mostly. But I realized that these planetary turns may influence almost everyone in this or that way, but everyone because they happen simultaneously and cover different degrees and different signs of zodiac. So everybody will be for sure somehow influenced. And that's why I believe it's like our collective, we should do it together. I can find the word. A pause for reflection, a collective pause for reflection, and for thinking, what do we believe in? What ideals are still there, and maybe some have lost their shine, maybe some are not as clear anymore. And when something seems too unclear or foggy during this period, it may be worth further exploring. So this is a moment when we may explore and re-examine some laws or even educational or ethical systems, media narratives. Journalists may revisit past investigations. Universities or courts may reopen cases. So it's when we return to some ethical decisions that we've made before, also personally. Uh, so the area, it feels unstable, it feels not clear, but it is intellectually charged. Again, hopefully the world questions its own moral compass and hopefully in the direction of the light. Although that I cannot promise, it may turn either way. And it's also important that all the big agreements that were reached in October, even if they were reached at this lucky stage, this first phase, they may be revisited as well, because Mercury will still return to the same points it is going on at the end of October. And actually, that's a trend till the end of November and even beginning of December, that we'll be revisiting what we have already done in October. So it's a long process. Mercury stays retrograde for 3 weeks, and that's the the major period when we will be looking at our past. But then it will go direct, but through the same point. So we will still have time in December to maybe correct mistakes and maybe to return to the ideas that come to us in November. So it's like it's slowing down at this moment, and it also shows us that the entire minimum month will be about returning, recollecting all these reverbs. Everything can be redone. Jupiter stays retrograde for much longer, almost half a year, and it does it every year. So it's not that important for everyone individually. But these days from November 5th, I said, right, 4th till November 15th is the period when everyone will probably notice it, either Jupiter or Mercury or maybe both of them. Christine, what does human design
Yeah,
astrology?
it's right there because so November 4th, Mars is in gate 34, which is the gate of power. It's in our sacral, it's our life force energy. It's the most powerful, probably the most powerful gate in our system. So I think about this Mars energy that's very, fiery and energetic to begin with, being in this very life force energy space. Um, Looking for what is, again, it comes to like what is of value, right? Like this is an individual energy. What is of value to me? What is it I want to spend my energy on? What is it that lights me up? There's a lot of energy around that. And at the same time, Jupiter is in gate 62, which is the gate of detail. It's in our ajna. It's very much about what you were saying, like reviewing, like finding, like things, like what have I not been paying attention to, or what things do I need to go back to and pay attention to? Like, what are the little things that I might have missed before, right? So there's this energy to pay attention to the detail, to be able to um, use that awareness that we have in our ajna to notice what details need to be attended to, right? So there's that energy in Jupiter, and then Mercury is in gate 9, which is focus, which is a very much about concentration and focus. So whatever it is that we want to pay attention to, we will have this extra energy to pay attention to it, to stick with it, to stay on point, right? And so I think about these three gates working together really well to help us through this fog that you're talking about, right? Like these energies are like, oh, cool, foggy. I can do that. Right? So yeah, so I think it's going to be really powerful.
Mhm. It's interesting that in some traditions, Ajna is associated with Jupiter itself. Like Jupiter rules Ajna. Not in every astrological tradition, but some say so. So Jupiter in Ajna's center, right? It means that it's like very, very Jupiterian. It's very, very philosophical. So and it stations there. So it stays there for a longer time as usually. So I find it really symbolic. It's like underlining everything we've said.
Yeah, and I'll also say this isn't something that shows up in astrology, but in human design, the north and south nodes shift out of gates much more regularly than they do out of signs. And so that is actually happening on November 2nd. And so we are shifting, the north and south node is shifting from this gate 22/47, which is about grace and realizing, right? This idea about giving ourselves grace in the world and giving ourselves time to figure out what the world means to us, right? That's kind of the period we've been in, and we're shifting into gate 63 and 64, which are the final hexagrams in the wheel. And they are about doubt and confusion, right? And so I bring that up because I do think that there may be this underlying background energy for us all of like, I think I'm going to do what's of value. I think I'm following the right details. I think I'm doing the thing, I'm focusing on the right things, but I don't know, feel a little doubtful here, right? I'm not really sure, right? Am I confused? Do I know what I'm talking about? So I do think that it might be tricky, especially since it's just the beginning of that shift in the nodes, that first part, this part we're talking about, November 4th to the 15th. There might be an underlying energy of like, do I really know what I'm talking about? I thought I did 2 weeks ago, but I'm not sure I do now. So just pay attention to that. It's going to be there for everyone.
Yeah. By the way, both nodes are south node is now in Virgo, and it is ruled by Mercury, that is stationing, and the north node is in Pisces, and Pisces are ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is stationing now. So there may be some really big ideas that we will be revisiting, some big, like some cornerstones of what we are and what are we standing on. Something very, very important is going on for everyone, different, but still, yeah. So in this such an atmosphere, we have this full moon on November 5th. And this full moon in Taurus, it raises finally, it raises openly the questions of values and stability and resources. And we might notice how much we've been holding on to money, relationships, plans, depending on your personal situation. and whether those attachments still make us feel safe. And it's actually a so-called supermoon because the moon is very close to the Earth at the moment and it is very bright. So it has greater potential to light up the problems. And I see here an opportunity to find the answers before it's become too foggy with all these turns of Jupiter and Mercury, because it happens right before they make the turns. Um, it's also not a very comfortable full moon. When the moon is in Taurus, we strive for comfort. But because this full moon demonstrates the problematic areas, we may find out what does not comfort us anymore. And because we have this slow down, a reflection pose, I think we need to reconnect to too many different topics at once. It's this comfort zone, trust, stability, ideology, agreements, routine, even regular paperwork goes nuts with the Mercury. So it may be really uncomfortable, really overwhelming. So I suggest just to slow down intentionally. The way we drive in fog, slow, attentive, and just do your thing and concentrate on what you are doing. That's how I see this full moon. And I believe that even though it starts on the 5th, and we're talking about the bigger period till the 15th, it still has this influence for the entire period. And we can use it, these dates. I would even say November 4th, 5th, and 6th are good days for this intentional reflection pose, especially after all the movement and all the rush we had during the first phase. And then we will be naturally slowing down. Do you have anything to add about the full moon?
Yeah, I think that yes, so the moment that the full moon hits, the moon will be in gate 22.4. And 22, like I said, is just the south, I'm sorry, the north node will have just moved from gate 22. And so there will be another moment of this moon being in 22, which is about openness. And the line that it's in, 22.4, is sensitivity, right? And so I think about this moon and this period being like what you're talking about, like being sensitive to the values, to where you're going in the world, like what's going, all the things we've been talking about, right? Like there's just this extra sensitivity, which I think is really important. And also on November 5th, the sun moves into gate one, which is it's the creative. It's the most creative energy in the body graph, and it connects to gate 8, which Uranus will be in at that point. Uranus is also shifting signs around there from a human design perspective. Those two together make this channel of inspiration, which is again another individual energy that will be on for the entire collective, right? It's this energy and push to make a contribution, right? To do something from your own creative voice that is fulfilling to you, but also somehow impacts the full collective. And so this full moon is happening at that point when that stuff is just coming online. So I see the potential, at least, for something really possibly profoundly, moving in creative and new direction could happen in that area. Um, just because all of those energies are they're just really powerful, strong um, energies to transform, right? To take what is and make it something different.
Hmm. Do you see anything overwhelming at this time? Or or vice versa, vice versa? Do we have anything that will help us not to be overwhelmed?
Yeah, that's interesting. I do think this whole season is going to feel a bit overwhelming. Like I said, all of these collective energies that are on for the public, for the collective, these individual pushes to be expressing your true nature, I think is going to be difficult for people, right? Especially if they've been hiding, if they've been not, if they've been conditioned, if they're trying to just go along to get along, if they're trying to just keep a low profile. Like if that's been your approach in life, I think this Scorpio season is going to push, right? And so the only hope I would offer is that's what you're here to be, right? Like you really are here to bring your true, full, amazing self. And this is an opportunity and some support to have at it.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
I had
Okay.
one thought just in what the two of you have shared is it feels like this could be a little roller coastery, like it's sort of what you were describing, Christine, is that something, a practice that would be self-nurturing and grounding at the same time would be really valuable through this, and something really simple that I mean, it could be as simple as having a little tea ritual where you just took the time to really pay attention to the making of the tea, the steeping of the tea, and actually sitting down and drinking the tea and enjoying it. It's just which only take 10 minutes out of your day, but just to bring you right back here into the here and now and just give yourself a moment uh, to look at what's really going on.
Mhm. You explained it so tasty that I'd like a cup of tea now.
Yeah,
Just
isn't
to
that a
go eat and
marvelous
feel
idea?
how fulfilling it can be.
Yeah, I can feel the warmth of the mug in my hands right here. And it's a sensory experience. And when we come into our senses, then we can regulate ourselves by coming in and experiencing what something by touch and smell and taste. What a beautiful option, Lois. A couple things came up for me. I love fog. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I probably spent 9 months of my each year in the fog, and then the fog lifts and everything gets loud and busy. And when the fog's there, it's quiet. And and then also when I look out on the farmland in the morning and the fog is coming in, this is like the most peaceful, pristine view. So I think there's different ways we can take this, right? We could just embrace it and say, hey, isn't this cool? I don't know where I'm going next, and be okay with that. Um, I also want to point out that the November 5th full moon happens to be the Beaver Moon. And the reason why it's called the Beaver Moon is this is like the last chance for the beaver to get all of its winter stores together before the water freezes. And so you think about that time before that we had discussed, that first period and the busyness and sorting and stuff. The animals are doing it right there, right for us. All we have to do is watch and pay attention. And then what does the beaver do when they get all their stores together? They tuck themselves in and just chill for whatever period it is until the waters thaw again. So that's and when the waters are frozen, you can't see through them either. So lots of nice metaphors there to work with.
Mhm. Nice, real nice. Then, yeah, then welcome to the foggy season. You should be enjoying it. And yeah, with a cup of tea, chilling, you know. That's also a way to live through it, yeah. Yeah, and the third part will also be, it will not be much faster as the previous one. And all the planets remain retrograde. But at least they are not stationary anymore. They already move. So the third phase, I call it the crystallization phase. It is from November 16th till the end of the period, November 21st. But it's already when the planets are moving. Sorry, Lauren, but the wind will blow the fog away a little for a while at least. And the waters of Scorpio kind of cool down a little and become more transparent. So what helps the clarity especially, it's not only because the planets are moving, it's that the sun now makes a nice trine to Jupiter and Saturn, just like Mars did at the end of October. So we have this return of action with wisdom and order, some stability and understanding of what we are doing. And after all the doubts and reversals of early and the first half of November, this is the moment when we can finally make decisions from inner certainty. That's what while we were drinking tea in the fog, we got the certainty, and now we can act. At this time, we may see what was worth the effort and what no longer deserves our energy. It becomes clear. And I believe it's a beautiful combination of strategic choices, rebuilding confidence, and redefining long-term goals. Because of the retrogrades, we cannot get away from this redoing, reviewing, redefining. And in December, we will also we'll also return to these topics, but still, at least it offers some certainty. Even if we will change our minds later, it's okay. So be prepared that you're certain and you make a decision, and then in a couple of weeks you make another decision. It's okay. You can handle it, and you can be still stable, because it's still good to feel some stabilization, even if you're not exactly going in the absolutely right direction. At least you are doing something, and you are sure that you have the certainty that you are going somewhere, and it will bring you somewhere. It will show you some maybe experimenting ways, and it will show you the right way a little later. But it's not that dangerous to act at this moment. So I believe this week from 16th till 21st is also a week of acting. Yes, with some caution, with some re-evaluating, but you can already do something and go further and not just chill. um, and how is it from the human design
Yeah,
perspective?
it's exactly like that. That's amazing because on the 14th of November, the sun enters gate 14 in the human design body graph, which is in our sacral center. Again, it's this life force energy. And 14 is called power skills, and it is heavily associated with direction, right? It connects as an individual energy, it connects into the identity center. So this higher knowing, it has this really key life force energy connected to our higher knowing, knowing what's right in the moment, what our direction should be. And you said certainty is several times, and I actually have this energy on in my body graph all the time, and I feel that. Right. And I see it in others who don't have it. They don't, there's not the same, like this embodied, like, oh, I have to do this thing right now, right? This is where I'm going. I don't know why, but this is how it's work. It's this is the right thing to do. And just trusting, right? Like I think of this energy as a very self-trust energy, and it will be on for the entire planet, which I think is super lovely. And at the same time, that channel that I mentioned earlier, the inspiration channel, the 1 to 8, will continue to be on for the collective, right? So again, this is a ton of creative, contributing energy with the underlying sun energy of gate 14 saying, yeah, do it this way, go in this direction, use it for this purpose, right? So I think that there will be a lot of exactly what you're talking about, clarity after the fog.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. I like it. Yeah, and I also think that we have this very powerful and very to the point new moon at the end of the season. It happens on the 19th of November, so it's like 2 days before the season ends. And this is not the new moon when I would recommend setting intentions, not at all. But definitely, it's the new moon when one should find some space and time to stay alone um, and feel the energies of the universe, to feel what's going on around you and only you. So very, very individually. Because this new moon, it offers a chance for important inner revelations and insights. This new moon is conjunct Mercury, and we have the sun, the moon. A new moon is when the sun and moon conjoin. So we have the sun, the moon, and retrograde Mercury, and all in the same degree of Scorpio. So the insights, they can be very emotional and deep, and it's beautiful. I like I like such new moons. It happens sometimes, but I truly wish they did it on their own. Only three of them, because when the sun conjuncts a planet, any planet, I see it like an intimate connection. So it's nice when they're together and nobody is seeing them. But here we have Uranus, and Uranus is opposing them. It's not with them, but it confronts them. It's kind of he's watching and throwing stones at this trio and doesn't let them stay in their comfort. So he's an uninvited guest. And I believe this may help that we obtain unexpected insights. You may you may find a place for yourself, a room, and make some tea or meditate and think about something nice. But then suddenly somebody rings on the door and brings news, and this news will be the insight, not your meditation. So it's the time when revelation may come from it may come from meditation, but it may come also as a result of some honest conversation. So it's time to speak honestly with each other. It's just a piece of news from social media. It's when the hidden becomes visible, and what was complicated becomes simple, and vice versa. Simple may become too complicated, and what you thought was simple you will suddenly see some um, sides that you didn't thought about before, and you will see how to approach it. But what is important is that this kind of awareness, it can change the course of decisions. So it's not the new moon for the big starts, but we may expect big ideas and also old ideas renewal, and also this clarity that comes from reviewing the past experience. And it also opens this almost, it's like a preamble that opens the next Sagittarius season, which will have to do with redoing as well a lot. And all of these reverbs, I don't really like most of them because I don't like redoing some things that I have already done. But I like the word renovation because it means, and I like renovating things because it means that we are giving good old things a new chance. That's very Scorpio-like. That's the essence of Scorpio. Transforming and finding something in some dirty, old, broken things and find the beauty of it and make it valuable. So I believe this new moon at the end of the season can really show us such an opportunity for each of us for such a renovation in our life.
Yeah, I can totally see that from this side too. So the moon will be in gate 43, which is the gate of insight, right? Again, it's this Ajna gate that has all of this, it's known for just amazing things just dropping in out of nowhere, right? Just all kinds of things that can come through. You don't know where they come through, but they're amazing. And the only challenge you have is actually articulating them to others so that others can understand the amazingness of them, right? So sometimes they can be too far ahead of their time, that sort of thing. So the moon will be in that gate of insight, and it will be supported by, again, the sun in gate 14. The Mercury will be in gate 14 at that point. And so there's, again, this directional inner trust, knowing energy, and this channel that connects your higher self to your throat, right? This creative individual channel that allows you to express from this higher knowing. So when I look down the column of gates on this particular day of the new moon, I see nothing but goodness. Like it is just supportive energy after supportive energy to trust yourself. You know, use your voice in your specific way to say what needs to be said from your point of view and trust that somebody needs to hear it. That's what I would say this new moon is saying, you know, all day long.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. Yeah, I just like that this time we have this season that is really like classical Scorpio way, but not in a in a bad sense, like revenge or some mean things that we all read about Scorpios or hear about Scorpios, but in its pure, in its higher level Scorpio things. That in the beginning we have to face the heat, and Scorpio is able to it is able it has such strength, such intensity that it can keep on with very very heated situations. That's what we have at the end of October, beginning of November, and then we have to move through this fog, and we need some patience. And Scorpios can be very patient. They can be very uh, persistent, and they can wait a lot. They can wait for a long time till they get what they want. And then we come to this period of crystallization, when we need wisdom to see the crystal that forms at the end of the season. And that's also very much about Scorpios, because they really are very wise. They collect the experience, life experience, and every day Scorpio lives. It has it gathers all this experience. It doesn't throw it away. It's all in the soul, in the body, and it can all finally come to wisdom. So that's how we can live through this month, just the way, just pretending we are ideal Scorpios. Oh, ladies, how do you feel about becoming a Scorpio suddenly?
Well, since I have a Scorpio moon, I love this time, and I think I can identify well with this period. You know, listening to the whole pattern of the time reminds me of the creative process, and I think about like when I my writing process, and I'll use my example, but I think you can apply it to whatever art you do, that there's this period where you get this idea and the narrative absolutely moves through you and you jump to action. And I literally wake up with myself saying the words like da 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 da, this starts. So you pick up the pen and you go like hell and you get things down. And then all of a sudden you're like, what am I doing? Where am I? What did I wait? This doesn't connect. I ended up somewhere where, and then you start doubting yourself. And into, if you're me, you put it away and you go make a pot of soup, or you go walk in the forest and take a pause, and then you come back, and then suddenly that coming away and coming back allows it all to come together, and you have this new clarity, and whatever you wrote was useful. But the word that really gelled for me that you used, Anastasiia, was renovating. You get in there and you pull that first paragraph and you put it in the third place and you move this one up, and then suddenly it becomes something even better than you ever imagined. And that's what I feel about this period.
That's
It's
really
also the allowing it to reveal itself through this
Yeah,
process, right? It's like,
exactly.
and the knowing that we don't have it all together at the start, but all of those efforts, like the writing or building something and having it not quite right, we learn through all of that. So to take the learning with us afterwards.
awesome. We have a creative season with learning, that requires strength, patience, and wisdom. And it comes when we accept it all. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, well, and also I'll say that renovation requires some pruning too, right? Like this is the other thing, right? We talked about earlier. It's like you have to, some things have to be let go. Some things have to just go away, right? Like whatever piece of the house that you thought you were gonna keep, it's like, oh my God, I'm just gonna make that into a reading nook, right? Like I just have a whole different plan for it. And so that I think is also important, I think, when I look out at the collective, right? Like I think we are gonna be in this creative cycle as a collective, but that means that we're going to have to be willing to let go of some of the stuff that we thought, you know, was great. And now we're like, oh, yeah, we don't have space for that anymore. So just being aware of that too, I think is helpful.
Yeah.
What a season. So,
Yeah.
ladies, beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anastasiia and Christine, for guiding us through it. I think there's a lot of wisdom in here for folks, and it may bear re-listening a few times. So enjoy this coming season. We'll see you next time around.